that excitement for SNHU Overwatch. Third match that we're going to be seeing from them here. And tonight they're going to be playing against the St. Clair Saints. I just had to say the full name. It's just fun to have to say that word a couple times. But map list tonight, I want to say, I think Rialto is on there, and Hollywood. I think I looked over some stuff with the teams before, but we'll see if anything has really shifted around. No patches, no meta changes. We'll see some double bubble. We'll see some unique strategies coming out from both teams, as we tend to see in this level of play collegiate. You know that these teams will lean in on their players' comforts and try to find a strategy that works around that. And the team, I know that the varsity team, I heard some discussions on strategy. Might see some tanks messing around here. We might see a change up in play, because as we've seen before, the tanks have kind of struggled against some rush compositions that have been kind of coming out in some of these matches, these teams that are willing to get aggressive. And we'll see what kind of team the St. Clair Saints are going to be bringing to the table here, what kind of composition they roll out with. I know we've seen a big variety from week 1 to now, where, you know, we've seen comps with DPSs that really kind of lean in heavily on a mercy pocket to a particular player, whether it be Echo, whether that be Pharah. We've seen teams that really lean into that brawl heavy. We have a Moira, we have a Reaper, we have a Reinhardt. We are going to just run you down, with Lucio giving us that big advantage, that edge that you kind of have to match if you don't know necessarily how to meet it head on. A lot of possibilities and a lot of things that can work in this meta right now, and we'll have a good look at it as we head into map number 1, which will be Lijiang Tower. SNHU is going to have the same roster as we've been seeing in previous weeks, but we are going to see a role swap. I believe this will be the first time on stream that we get to see that. Osiren moving, I want to say, over to DPS. Rhino taking that position as the main tank, and Fragnar moving back to his comfort role in support. So a small switch up for SNHU. We'll see how that goes. And we're also going to get our first look on the SNHU esports stream at St. Clair College. Imp, Prince Wada, I'm just going to call him Bylable, Commanda, Kale, and Apostle. Speaking of Brawl, it looks like that's what we're going to see here at the very beginning. The Ryan, Zarya, Lucio, fill in the blanks sort of thing, but a more specific strategy for Night Market, with that Symmetra not being mirrored completely by SNHU, but they will have Desi on that far end. We could just see Prince just holding that Lucio to speed out and then get the swap later once they get that space so that he can pocket Desi. A couple options, but Desi actually will get the teleporter out. We'll see how far the team is able to go. As I will say, I'm having a small frame, some frame stuff here on my end, but now it's rolling smooth again as the teams do look like they're going to be meeting up in the middle here. But the teleporter to the point gets them in, but actually the damage orb from Fragnar manages to pick off Imp. This could be an opening, but they have to make sure all the resources there, and health is not great for SNHU. Desi falls, Fragnar as well after, but it's 2 for 2, and then Wada swinging the hammer catches everybody else that was remaining there. 3 kills for the main tank of St. Clair, and this point on Night Market will go their way as the respawns come in, and will take a little bit of time for SNHU to kind of regroup here. They did get those 2 picks, so fast maybe they can go for those damage. Maybe they can catch someone out, but they're holding for their respawns. They're going to have their Lucio ready to speed them in, and we'll see how the rush ends up matching here. They get those turrets. Prince is ready to get them in. Here comes the amped speed, which could help them punish some targets here. Rhino, though, gets knocked very low. It's so hard to chase onto this objective. Those same turrets, and a big shatter from Wada right behind the shield. A complete wipe. Blink and you miss it. SNHU have gone away as this point climbs up to 30%. Wada, it was very aggressive play there, and that's part of ult tracking and how difficult it can be sometimes to really be on the up and up about that. Wada got a couple kills, but you never know if he's coming close to shatter. Only now is Rhino reaching that point of getting that ultimate, so left to play for that setup here. But any setup that SNHU does is going to have to be careful of that sim wall. Could isolate their team and make it easy, but like Pepto running around the corner, got a rust of right clicks in. He's kind of low on energy, but a stun there doesn't end up getting the kill. Frag goes down to that pulse bomb as Wada is able to swing through that Cole coming in from St. Clair now. Potential aggressions to reset at this point if they want to protect Pepto's energy, but this Tracer is going to be very aggressive along with the rest of the team. Sim and Zarya putting him through the microwave. St. Clair keep this point firmly in their control. No one really able to get any pressure, and I'm not sure if we're going to see any swaps here from SNHU. They really just haven't been able to do a whole lot of damage. Prince only 50% to a beat right now as Rhino has this shatter set up. Maybe we'll see a flash shatter, but bubbles make that very difficult. coming out of the Zarya, but they're speed boosting right out. Here comes the disengage, perfectly timed from St. Clair. They can't go too far. They have to keep Rhino alive as his ult is so important here. Now, he definitely will be able to get a shatter with that sim wall coming up in the way, but they're getting close. A grab comes into the back. The Tracer is all over it. Wada cleans up 2 with that charge into it. Still, though, 2 picks go the way of SNHU. They might have a chance to make this happen, but Wada is delaying Osiren quite a bit. He won't be able to make it back. Frag will have to get the touch instead, but goes right through that car wash as Desi realizes there's no more chance here. He jumps off the map. It's St. Clair, their first point on the first map of this guaranteed 3-map set. Out of all the points we can go to next between Control Center or Garden, definitely a big variety in what you might see on them. We'll see now. It will be Control Center that we see, and it will more than likely be similar compositions. Maybe we see a swap up in the Symmetra coming out from St. Clair, and we will see a little bit more shield damage focus coming out from SNHU with that Junkrat piloted by Osiren. It will be mirrored on the other side, though. Remove that Tracer, and now you see a very hardcore shield pressure composition with that Symmetra and that Junkrat. It's going to be very hard to push back in, so as always in Overwatch, whatever team wins the first fight here is going to have a very big advantage. Osiren putting himself out towards this point. No concussions, well, only 1 early for this fight, but he is there just about as fast as everyone else needed to be, but it looks like positioning early will go the way of St. Clair. Wada is doing a great job managing his shield, and the aggression will now come in. The knockback from the concussion mine, not enough. Rhino taking a lot of damage from these sim turrets. Fire Strike actually cleaves a lot of the members of the team. The help on SNHU is not good, but Wada can't get aggressive. They have the damage on the Reinhardt, which means they can't follow up. First kill goes to Viable. Junkrat on Junkrat, equalizing that spam war, making it far in advantage of St. Clair. They need to push to make up for that right now, but they're getting blasted by sim turrets in the back. Rhino goes down. This opens the door for Wada to run in swinging. Getting some damage, but not able to finish anything off. Apostle will be the one to do it. 2 kills for him, 1 more for Kale. Pepto does get a trade on their side, but all the frags go the way of St. Clair. And I mentioned that first fight going to be such a huge advantage to the team that wins it. SNHU have a long way to go to bust through, especially with a Cole push potentially waiting for them on the other side. Only Pepto getting close to grab. They could count with their own Cole, so there are options here for them. We might see it as they come through this choke point. The first pick actually goes onto Commanda. That's one of the most important targets to find here, but Desi splits from the team. As the Cole comes out for Frag, we'll see who we can target, keeping the whole team alive. Wada getting close to the Shatter. He does have it. They have to play their life carefully. Frag's going back and forth, 3 versus 4 right now. St. Clair with a number advantage, and the sim wall splits the fight. That's going to make things so much harder for them, especially with Frag getting run down by this Zarya, and Wada cutting through. Frag will fall here. Pepto takes himself down with that self-damage from the right click, aided, of course, by the Fire Strike from Wada. In St. Clair, they use 3 ults, with only 1 in response for SNHU. This might not actually end up being the worst fight as we go look to burst back through, as long as they're aware of who might be up there behind them. Can have an ult advantage. Just have to pay attention to this Reinhardt and when they try to go, but they have to push through this car wash, and they're forcing it through this main choke point. Rhino's shield low enough that it just goes down. Wada walks and try Earth Shatter off of it. It does hit some, but it's countered by a tire. 2 kills the way of SNHU, even when the first one didn't go their way. The High Noon, the Deadeye, takes out Apostle, and Prince speeds the team in, trying to burst through and nullify the effectiveness of those sim turrets. Pepto does end up falling to them, but Desi finds the next as they make their way back to the point. The respawns, though, are getting close, and Prince is a little bit forward here. Gotta be real careful when you speed in like that. Maybe we see a beat come out here, but they gotta be wary of that grab coming in from Apostle. Prince is playing it pretty careful here. Wada goes down, an important person on the side of St. Clair to end up eliminating Rhino. Swing for the fences, finds Apostle. 2 kills for Osiren in this fight. Make it 3. The concussion mine gets him another. The nades are flying everywhere, but not connecting on anyone just yet, making that point an absolute minefield to be on. As they force them out, they do get the retake on the point, and now they have the chance to lock out St. Clair in this front choke point. Going to be really important. They can't really let them break through, but their composition isn't necessarily as good for it. Although with Tracer, it might get a little bit easier. Definitely have to be careful, though. Rhino can't hold his shield up the whole time, so you can't play in those angles they might be looking for. Here comes the grab, the beat, maybe in response, but they don't need it. Osiren, 2 with the Cog Mine, 2 with the nades. He's cleaning up everybody. Desi gets the 5th here, and they're just going to run down this Reinhardt. Junkrat is such an explosive character, no pun intended, and you can see how much he can influence the flow of a fight. You think you have them beaten. Prince uses the beat to keep the team alive, and all the damage is done by Osiren practically on his own there. Great play by him, and SNHU managed to keep themselves at the choke with Moira, the cleave healing. keeps the team up, but an aggressive push with a Cole will make things difficult. Those does take down Osiren, and it's higher. That could have been so important for them, but it doesn't end up mattering at all. They have to back up. Just the two supports and the Doomfist, just the two supports now alive as the Tracer runs through them. 3 kills for Bylable, and they have a chance to make it back. It is guaranteed overtime, being at 99, and they have Osiren on the Tracer potentially making it through, but he doesn't have a lot of blinks charged up. He won't be able to make it. And map number 1, 2-0 to St. Clair. SNHU had a really tough time on that first map, and they seemed like they were adapting on map number 2 once they finally broke through and, you know, managed the ultimates a little bit, but they forced out a couple for them. Osiren had a hot streak there, but look at this. When you don't know that that's charged up, you have a team kill in the blink of an eye. That Earth Shatter completely just declaring how that game was going to go. Map number 1, though, in the way of St. Clair. No matter what happens, we will be seeing all 3 maps played tonight. SNHU probably hoping that it'd be the same if it was a best of 3 series anyway, but whatever payload map is up next, we will be finding out as we go on. But I want to see how they adapt to this, if they have similar matches. If we go to another rush map, maybe if it's a more vertical map, we could see teams change up strategies. We'll have to find out all that and more on the other side of this break. Welcome back, SNHU esports fans, to map number 2 of this series. And hey, I was right. It is going to be Hollywood. I don't need to be too proud of myself, I guess, for that. But only 10 seconds remaining in the Assemble Your Heroes, and we'll be able to see exactly what will change up as they start going. It looks like SNHU will be on offense first on this map, and it is definitely a bit of a swap up. It is going to be the double bubble composition paired with a Pharmercy, and also a little bit of a combo ult there with the Grav Dragon. Could be something that can help them turn the tide of a fight that's going the other way, especially when they're playing into such an absolute slambulance composition on the other side with Moira and Lucio, which seems to be a pretty common comp in this level of collegiate play. As long as you have, a team that's willing to follow up on the calls, it can be pretty simple to execute. We'll see how SNHU's composition can deal with it effectively. I do like the Ana into it, though. If you can manage to break through the Rhine shield and get an anti-nade in that backline, it becomes much easier to finish off some kills, especially if Desi's going to be consistently poking with that Pharah back into that backline. But the doors are open, players are out, and we'll see exactly how they intend to take this first point. But I do like this strategy here, being able to poke from that distance. Pharah is effectively a rocket sniper in some metas, and this one could be no different. You just have to be careful if those McCree manage to hit shots like that and keep you pressured out here. But we can see a vertical take. It looks like they might be answering it. Up the stairs comes St. Clair. The first kill will go the way of SNHU. Great damage there from Osiren, and they're going to be walking into the line of these rockets, but Desi just can't keep the angle as Rhino has to give up that ground. Maybe they weren't ready for it. It looks like Pepto wasn't. They lose 2 in the back. Couldn't we get a tick on the side of SNHU? They will, so it's not all going to be for naught at the end of this as Kale gets knocked off of this high ground. Rhino has to play for his next leap cooldown, and they don't have the verticality really to chase him, so Rhino actually will probably be able to get out, maybe take Prince out too, but unable to for now, unfortunately. Rhino actually stays committed, maybe needs to get bubbled out. Frag has the heals on him, Pepto has that bubble, and it might be baiting them in to a decent position. The sleep dart does not end up connecting, and a lot of ult charge goes the way of Frag. Have to preserve your life a lot. It could have been a ton of ult charge for Frag, and Nano Monkey could have really broken down the door. But for now, SNHU are going to have to play a similar strategy. There's almost no verticality on St. Clair other than, I guess, Zarya right-click jumping and Hanzo climbing the wall. Beyond that, they can play this vertical gameplay to punish them. And Anti-Nade actually connected on Viable and almost gave them a chance to follow up, but can't do it quite yet. And I was talking about the rocket sniper, and it comes to play here. Desi connecting on the Lucio and has the barrage. Well, if they get the bubble, they could go in for something with this. They just have to have their cooldowns. It looks like they might. Desi cleans up 2. It's a 2-for-2 trade, though. It's 4 versus 4, with spawns being effectively even here on this point. They're getting forced out. Osiren holding on to that dragon, but they lose Frag, even with the Nano going on to Pepto. He can't follow up on anybody else as Rhino manages to get away. Maybe they can re-heal, give that ult charge to Frag and move on from here, but they have to worry about an Earth Shatter that they really don't have a way of blocking other than Pepto's personal barrier, or if Rhino has the read of a lifetime there on the ground level. No one's close, thanks to that recon arrow. We'll see what direction they decide to go. They could go left up the stairs, bring the whole team with them. They do have Grav now, thanks to some right-click spam from Pepto, but this is the answer to it. They decide to dive in instead. They get grabbed. Who can they take down? It looks like no focus is really coming in as the Dragon followed up on it. No one was going to be able to survive that one, but they did get one of the most potent combos in the game out of St. Clair. Only the beat and the shatter left. Put enough damage into that Grav, and you might be able to burn through that beat when they have a Dragon connecting on it as well, especially if Prince can get that damage boost on Osiren, which looks like it will be his priority now. Stormwind wants to pressure the shield, and it's a lot of pressure on Pepto on the other side instead. It has to be a solid grab if they really want to break through, as Rhino doesn't get the jump that he necessarily wants, but it's a huge stack, and that could be coming in any second now as they flood through the choke, but it doesn't end up coming in. Prince uses the Valk, and this Reinhardt is just running them over. 3 kills in the choke point for him as Kale gets a finishing kill with a Storm Arrow, with Prince trying to run away. They still have this Grav Dragon. Someone just has to call the shot. Someone has to pull the trigger on what ultimates they really want to use and when they need to use them. The tempo is just being set by St. Clair. They put a brick on the gas pedal, and they're running this car over the edge. SNHU, the Grav will be the perfect way to stop them. Rhino, he takes the positioning that they need. They're getting some energy on this. Zarya looks like the Grav does come in the backline, though. Osiren is holding on to the Dragon Tail afterwards, though. The damage was maybe could have gotten it, but now it's just zoning them in a triple Deadeye from Viable back there in the Grav. They flooded in, but the follow-up wasn't there. 10 seconds left. They got 55%, but that's still way too much to have to deal with right now. They're not going to let Prince do anything else. They're trying to make it back to the point. The ball is there, but Wada's putting on so much there in the mid. Only 55% on the first point. An amazing defense by St. Clair. The way that they used their ultimates was perfect. They had anything they needed. I thought maybe a little bit of a delay on the beat because they weren't waiting for the dragon to come in on the grab. He just insta-beated instead of waiting for the call on that, but didn't even matter because there was so much of a delay on that play anyway. We'll see if SNHU pulls out anything different here because they know what kind of percentage they have to hold them to. Maybe we'll see something along the lines of a Torb, a Bastion, a Sim, something more set to hard hold this first point, or even just some poke, some strong backline heroes to play their distance from that choke point and punish them as they come in. Definitely don't expect to see that Torbjorn stick for St. Clair, but who knows? We could see a unique strategy for them here. We are seeing something different. We are seeing Osiren on the Mei. Could isolate them as they come through choke, but if they're close enough, it won't really be able to help too much if they're playing as a tight enough unit. Desi hasn't even chosen the hero yet. It will be Doomfist. So put up the wall and then have someone to smack him into it could be the strategy for SNHU. We'll see how that ends up panning out. Only 10 seconds remaining, and still watching St. Clair's swabs. Kale has played about 8 different things already in this pregame, or this mid-round at least, and it will be Hanzo as the final goes. Same composition for St. Clair with Desi holding right here by the edge. Not being on point can be a little bit risky, at least having one person there to stop the speed in, but they're close enough where they can deal with it. No one checks the corner. We'll see what Desi finds. It is a good amount of damage, and he gets away with it. No kills, which I'm sure they wanted. It looks like the wall actually just slowed them down, but didn't completely stop them, and now the speed's coming in. They let them set it up. A lot of damage up top. The ice potentially cleaving through. Osiren has to run away to the point as they all disengage. Running back, still no heals traded either way. Desi will be the one to go down, flashed and fanned from up top. Damage, though, it is traded back. Rhino with a pin kill onto Command. He's living on the point, but he can't live long enough. Wada with the hammer pierces right through that shield. It's on Pepto pretty much here with 100 energy to find some kills and save his team. Great bubble under Prince will keep him up, and a wall splits the team, but I think it also split Pepto's line of sight. He's getting forced off. Now Apostle's high energy as well. Pepto's doing anything he can, doing a ton of damage, but not enough to finish off any kills. There's just so much healing. It's all on Rhino and Desi to make it. Fan and flash right in the way. Wada throwing himself into the doorway as well. No way SNHU can make it, even with that Earth Shatter, slowing them down even further. St. Clair, these rush comps are so potent and so difficult to deal with. SNHU continues to struggle here, but great plays by the DPS from this team too. It seemed like Vileable even had Desi's number when they tried to make some ground and get up top. Here's that High Noon. Such a good counteract to this. Was this actually a 4K with a headshot onto Desi right before that? Absolutely brutal, especially with that res that came out after. St. Clair have put on a great performance so far. They have won now in map score, but we will still be seeing a map 3. We'll see if SNHU make any switches. We'll see if St. Clair decide to change things up, as this last map will happen no matter what. The only way to find out is to wait till the other side of this break. Welcome back, SNHU esports fans, to map number 3 of the set against St. Clair College. St. Clair already up 2-0, but we are here on Rialto, and we'll see if anything will change here in map number 3 if they decide to experiment, since things just down to map score at this point, not necessarily over a set win. We could see a little bit more experimentation as the Assemble Heroes clock starts going all the way down. We'll be able to get our first looks at the compositions these teams might be running. Looks like a straight mirror actually coming out from SNHU, so they think they can do what St. Clair were doing better, and I think that's a bold choice. If you feel like you can't find the counter comp, you know that there's some skill to be had in the mirror, and you can try to take it that way. I think it can be a good approach, but it might not end up being a mirror, with 2 members of St. Clair still yet to choose their heroes on their defensive side. SNHU will be attacking first. See if whatever changes, it will be exactly the same across the board. McCree and Moira as the final 2. Want to see how forward they decide to hold, because I know that you can try to fight them on the bridge, you can try to fight them on the first corner, a couple different options, but it looks like St. Clair at least electing to let them get a little bit out of spawn at first. I want to see if Imp will go for anything kind of crazy, but no, I see him with the team. When you play the Slambulance composition, you really have to make sure that you're with them, because your speed boost is a life and death kind of ability for the rest of your team. As they get close to this corner, it looks like they will be holding back here in the standard defensive position. I'm not sure if they sped in. It looks like now maybe they use the speed, but I think they held it on the other side. They might be able to go, but maybe they held it for too long. 1 kill goes for Osiren, headshot onto Vileable. They do get traded out, though. 5 versus 5 right now, and they're low in the corner. Rhino gets the better of Wada. Maybe chasing into Apostle. It's so much damage going out from Hepto, but there's so much healing to directly counteract that. Imp throws his body away onto the cart, and the other 3 members of St. Clair have to back away, but they stop capping on SNHU for this to happen. Someone has to move back. It looks like they do realize it, and Rhino with the pinch takes down Commanda, takes down Kale. This payload will continue to move for now. With Rhino having his Earth Shatter charged already, that could be the surprise factor if Wada doesn't really realize that that's there, and he's already pretty low. They could push in. He does get the kill. It's 2 for them. He doesn't even need to Earth Shatter anymore. 4 kills for SNHU. A different look for them now that they're playing here in the mirror. St. Clair just completely overrun. Only Kale remaining, and he's coming back from spawn as is. See how forward SNHU want to take this. They just have to be careful to stay in line of sight of their backline. I don't think they want to push through this door while they still have someone pushing on the point. Unless they think Rhino will get the shatter to end all shatters, but gotta play it safe here, and looks like St. Clair know that. They want to engage first. Rhino's shield is getting dangerously low, and Wada is very close to Earth Shatter. Rhino literally no shield right now. They can't let Wada get a single point of damage, basically, as they come in, push him down from the high ground, but Frag is there to save him. Still, though, Siren gets taken down by Kale, and they'll have to disengage. It's a great grab. It just slows them down, though. The Dragon through the wall. It's perfect. 3 kills for Desi. Saved there by that grab Dragon. It kept them in this fight. Maybe still doable for St. Clair with 3 members there. It could be a solid shatter, but Wada chooses to pin instead. He'll go down him. Just playing to delay at this point, but a great setup on that combo from SNHU. They faltered earlier, but now they made it work. The grab Dragon timed together, and no support ultimates available on the other side to deal with it. Commando used that Coalescence so early, they didn't really have a chance. But St. Clair, they have one more chance to contest this. They have to be so careful of this shatter on both sides. So we'll have to stay aware. Beat comes out to stay aggressive as they flood in. The grab Dragon goes for them. They force out a lot of ultimates. Don't use any of their own. SNHU were clearly ready for that, but now they have to get ready for this next fight. Desi delaying his death just one more moment. Frag also jumping off, trying to deny a little bit of ult charge. Only Deadeye and Earth Shatter are up for St. Clair with 3. Thank you, Joe, for the view of the void that we got to get as Desi waits to respawn. Great shot by Kale onto Osiren that's playing up top. No res, so we'll have to wait it out. Rhino maybe needs to save his shield a little bit here for when they actually do push, because now they're going without Osiren there, one of their ultimates, to back them up. If they can get past, that could work. We maybe would see a swap to a vertical comp, but again, the mirror for Brawl seems to be working, and the engagement, though, now is coming in from St. Clair. Osiren, though, on the respawn, actually, the synergy works. They deny them, but they don't get they missed the beat. The boom, actually, it sends Prince back. He can't land in time. No one gets that extra healing, and a beat is wasted, while Prince, on the other side, gets 3 with the hammer and the shatter. Perfect setup from him. That aggressive play really ends up paying off. And SNHU now down a beat, down their best defensive ultimate here. Have to find out how they're going to get through without getting picked off by early spam. They will be using a lot of their shield to get in close to make it happen. But now they're delaying. It looks like maybe they're setting up for Ragnar to do something below them. He's getting close. Are they going to do an aggressive Cole? Probably not. As they group up on the other side, no one protected, but the first kill still manages to go the way of SNHU Siren. Headshots, Imp, and they will set themselves up behind the cart with a number advantage. If St. Clair engage, it's going to be without speed boost and without numbers that they are going to want. See if Rhino will set up for a shadow. They have information on where they are, but now St. Clair have their 6th, and they will be willing to engage. Rhino a little bit isolated, a little bit low on shield. The flash shadow tried to come in. It looks like, but he died before he lands, and he can't get it happen. Everyone's so low, and again, the Slambulance runs through. Only Prince is still alive, and he was a respawner anyway. He died a little bit earlier. SNHU with 2 minutes left. They worked through that first choke point so quickly, but this is a really tough one. High ground is given so easily to the defensive team here that they have to set up, again, some other ultimates to make this work. Grav Dragon both up, again, with no defensive ultimates. And if they know that Imp is going to be low on this beat, they could play really aggressive with it, but it looks like the other team's going to do it first. St. Clair, they try to grab in the same spot. It's just chaos, but the Dragon ends up missing. Desi wasn't close enough. 4 kills for the Grav Dragon of St. Clair, a minute 30 left. And the main combo that they wanted just isn't going to be there. They're going to play off picks now. And it looks like the picks might go the way of St. Clair with early damage. Onto Siren, this Widowmaker pick. Partial desperation, partial just knowing that if we can isolate members, if we don't give them that clean 66, we can win this. That's the angle they're going to take, and we'll see how far they end up taking it. As they go, Desi on a side angle here. It will be up the same right side, trying to find them. It's a good fire strike. Wada has an Earth Shatter, and he has to know. He goes over his head and stuns 2. Perfect play by Wada there, jumping right over the hurdle. That was Rhino, but they managed to stay alive for now. As I say that, though, Pepto dies to the supports, dies to Commander getting speed boosted in. Such an aggressive push by Wada. It really caught the rest of SNHU off guard, and they don't have the kind of comp that can really fight in there, with Siren having to be far away, hoping that he can get some damage, but there's just so much healing, and no one on that team is really going to die in one shot without some form of damage boosting, without anything, whether it be a Discord or whether it be any other source from a support to supplement some damage. But the card's far back enough now that they can play on it. They can get some cart time while holding here. Siren, though, has to be willing to rotate because he's very far away. Desi, I'm not sure if he saw that McCree now above as he sends Wada back. It's a good knock up onto the backline. Actually finds a kill as well. These pick classes really paying off as Desi is just frontlining for the team, but it makes so much space. They get 2 picks even if they get equalized immediately. Rhino getting low. The Coalescence is keeping him up for now. Ragnar manages to get a kill into DPS with it too, but Wada catches the other Prince. They're on the way out. They're still moving the cart. The beat comes in from St. Clair. We'll see how aggressive they're willing to get as they swing onto each other here. Both stuck in the grab. Rhino trying to stay alive. He's managing to stay healthy, but Frag goes down. That's a lot of healing. That's not going to be in the picture anymore. Pepto uses the grab, but they're stuck behind the shield. No way to really cleave through that. Even with Desi left on that, he can't get his ultimate up in time. 3% away from that Meteor grab combo as Prince tries to make it back. Siren falls on the cart. We're in fast overtime, and SNHU get it almost all the way to that second point. St. Clair managed to halt them there by the very end. And that was getting so close. The initial picks from Desi's just standing somehow in the middle of that St. Clair roster. I have no idea how he did it. He lived way longer than I ever would have thought. I think it was one of those CSGO 6-man situations where you don't realize that the enemy is just standing in the middle of you. But once he does go down, it equalizes that fight immediately. Neither side had a DPS. And St. Clair just ended up popping their ultimates earlier, more decisively, and that's what helped them keep those tides turned. But SNHU, they pushed it a lot farther than they did on Hollywood. They have a chance to hold them here early. Desi sticking with that Doomfist. We are seeing a little switch up from St. Clair, though they are one to kind of trick me in the very beginning at the very least. Double sniper from them. The only real switch up here is no McCree. We could still see that come out, especially once they find out that Desi is on that Doomfist. You're going to want something like that to deal with it, but he makes that swap onto the Hanzo, so guaranteed Grav Dragon. They're not worried about picks, even though that might seem to be what St. Clair are thinking about here. Still 10 seconds for them to make any swaps, but SNHU might be holding them a little bit further forward. They're holding on this main corner instead of on the blue corner. We'll see if that changes anything with how this fight ends up flowing. Recon Arrow we'll see is just a lone Zarya. Now they see the rest of them up top. Desi should be able to relay that information to his team as he does a lot of spam early. Violable might be swapping, actually. No, actually willing to take that fight, but taking some early damage from Siren. with these double snipers, they can't be as aggressive on the side of St. Clair. If they're more aggressive, it's going to be a lot tougher because they don't have any damages really close by, especially if SNHU are smart and take fights far enough away outside of their sight lines. They have a lot of healing here, and now they're rounding this corner. The snipers not in a great spot to follow up. SNHU have to be careful if they push this angle. If they go too far, they could give themselves away, and it looks like Desi does on the flank. I like this here by St. Clair. They come around the right side. The snipers are finding these picks as they back off instead of going in. Imp finds another as well. 2 more picks from Violable. Both supports down. No more healing for Pepto. Wada gets that one, and this cart will keep rolling forward. Desi might be thinking of a hero swap here as he sits in the spawn. Siren does think of the swap, wants to take that sniper duel with them, but they don't have information. They lack the critical information as they get up to this choke on that positioning that they might have. Wada also has the Earth Shadow, so Rhino really has to be careful about how far he pushes and how much he opens his team up to it. It looks like they run right past him. They don't use the Earth Shadow. They lose Wada for it, but St. Clair get this cart so close, 0.18 away. It's on Prince to delay it as Osiren loses the duel. The Violable, who was on a great flank, picked off both of their snipers. Prince doing anything he can to delay this card, but a very similar story to SNHU's attacking half from what St. Clair can do here. 5 minutes on the clock for SNHU to have to hold it here. Fragnar actually kind of caught in. I think they were caught off guard by this aggression from St. Clair. They're running it down here. They managed to get both picks. They won't be able to stall this cart very early at all. They're going to be stuck back. Osiren swapped to the junk, which I don't know about how I feel about that into that double sniper comp. That's really lacking poke. It's putting a lot of pressure here on Desi to make up for the difference here as he tries to find something, maybe sneak an arrow over the shield, catch someone off guard. No one's going to be caught off guard with the knowledge of positionings that they have. They know with through the walls, through the recon, here comes the Grav Dragon. It only finds one for now, but the follow-up could be there. The Coalescence is doing a great job. Rhino just can't get the shatter off. Right into the shield. Response from Wada does catch a few, but the beat will keep him up for now. Rhino getting hard focused, staying alive, and Pepto is actually in the middle of them. If Pepto can get some heals, he can do quite a bit. He has perfect positioning in the back of the fight. Osiren's coming back in, but this cart is actually not moving at all. They want this fight to go a while, I guess, if this cart's not going to move anywhere further. They have someone in the back. The Moira does live in the trap, but dies to the martyrdom, effectively from the last laugh that Osiren manages to get. Prince falls on that objective. There's only 5 members left. They do get their Moira back now, but it's a desperate stall coming in. Grav Dragon might keep hopes alive here for SNHU. They get 1, they get 2, as expected from this, but they want to keep it going. They can't lose anyone else, and Desi makes sure that doesn't happen. A third onto Imp as they get the Hanzo to want to stagger out one more kill if they can. I thought someone else was behind them, and they were. Junkrat winning that duel against the Widow. Not something I get to see every single day, but something I'm being treated to now. SNHU managed to go forward. They'll take a little bit of ground here, but they don't have a shield to really poke back. Although now there's a swap. The shield maybe not as important now that they've dropped that Widowmaker and swapped to the Tracer. I think Rhino on this Wrecking Ball will prove a little bit more effective, but unlike what St. Clair were able to do with their composition, they can't stall them out. They're going to have to let them come in here and hopefully engage with their ultimates. A Coalescence comes out from Frag. It looks like it might have just been to keep Pepto alive. The entire team was split, but now they're coming in with the beat that will keep them up through this. They wait out the timing, though. The tire will now come in. We'll see what that can find, driven by Osiren. It looks like it's coming in from above, and it manages to assassinate that Zarya on the right side. This could be the moment that they have to run in, but they have to disengage. The health maybe not there. Prince trying to keep the team up, but he's actually flanking. He's pushing on the right side, even on that heal. The Coalescence is in return to keep their team up, but the DPSs are winning their duels on the side of SNHU. They take this high ground above. They will push them back. Great headshot by Desi onto Kale to keep them in this. There's still 2 on the cart, but they don't realize that Desi's behind them. Somehow accidentally protects Imp from all of those storm arrows from him as Desi is on a tear here, running in, but they can't get overzealous. They can't walk up. They lost another with Osiren falling. The spawns will be advantage to St. Clair if they stay this far forward, and it looks like they might have. Violable picks off Desi. They try to stay up. The bubble from Pepto does a great job of doing it, and the fight will stalemate once again. St. Clair trying to find their way in. I like that Rhino is just kind of fighting for positioning there behind them, but they actually just run straight in, and it's a perfect grab plus a pulse bomb. Apostle gets 2. They have a dragon on it as well. Anything they can throw into that grab just to see whatever sticks is going in, but they don't end up wiping the whole team. Desi wants to get aggressive, maybe trade something out here, but the health bars are so low for SNHU. This card's getting closer. They have the amped speed to make it there, but it looks like they won't make it in time. St. Clair end up superior here today. A great performance with a composition that they've practiced and perfected across a few different maps, and it clearly paid off. the 3-0 here. I definitely want to watch it. I want to see if this is the hurdle earth shatter that he had earlier, because what a play they had. No, it's just the push over here on the flank side. They just were not expecting this, and the beat booped away from Prince on the side of SNHU. Brutal for SNHU there. That was a crazy play that Wada was able to do, but it was a great performance that St. Clair had there. I think SNHU slowly figured out what they wanted to do, but when you adapt second, the other team gets a chance to adapt even further beyond you and make the changes that they want to. That double sniper composition really ended up catching SNHU off guard, I think, on Rialto when they had someone taking that side angle. They all got pushed into those sight lines, and the map knowledge and the map control by St. Clair to make that happen was key, knowing that if we take a fight through house on an off angle, they're going to run right into our Hanzo. They're going to run right into our Widow. They're not going to be ready for it. Big props to them for prepping as effectively as they did on these maps. So the Overwatch team having a rough season so far, but of course they're practicing. We have I'm trying to help them out too, as is Tim Shinner-Fowler, who could not be here with me today, the head Overwatch coach, but we'll see him pick them up, see if they figure out another composition, how they want to attack this meta in particular. We'll see how things change in the weeks to come. And I want you there with us in the weeks to come, hopefully watching all of these games with me and whoever else will be bringing them to you. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, !Twitter in the chat. Join our Discord to be a part of the community, Discord in the chat. As always, thank you so much for being with me. I have been Kresnik on the mic. As always, Joe on the production. We'll see you next time.